memories, like the cobwebs in my skull. Oh, I so should have had that. Actually, I'm going to take it. Welcome back. I am so glad you could make it. I know this isn't Tuesday, which is kind of weird. I like to think of it as Thoughtful Thursday. My son's like, this YouTube thing really has you. Everything is alliteration. Putt for the fun of it. 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 Talking Tuesday, Motorcycle Monday, Thoughtful Thursday. I do have a Sportster Sunday. I just don't record it. But Maikeli7 recorded a video on his earliest memories. And of course, in all these videos, you want to put out that call to action. Hey, leave a comment below. Hey, respond somehow to get, dialogue going. And he said, leave a comment below or respond in video form. And I thought, yeah, that's a whole lot easier than typing. Because you know me, I like to talk, and if I can't talk, I'll type. And I got a lot to say. Memory is a funny thing. Ask me what I had for dinner last night, and I really have to think about it. I could answer quicker now because I actually thought about it, but it took me a little bit. Ask me what I had for dinner a week ago, I have no idea. The only reason I could tell you what I was doing a week ago is because I'm kind of a creature of habit. I have a fairly tight routine. I was talking to a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in, I don't know, almost 40 years. And we were chatting back and forth on Facebook. And we were talking about something, and it turned out that, I thought we were just making this story up as it goes. And she was talking about this trip we took, and she's talking about this old car and how we had to get a tow truck. And I'm like, okay, we're just riffing here. We're making stuff up as we go. Cool. I'll play. So the story kept coming back in our conversations. And I'm thinking, well, we're both older. Maybe she's nutsy cuckoo. I don't know, but that's fine. So finally we got to the point where I realized that she's serious. And maybe not crazy. And I told her, I'm like, I don't remember any of this. She's like, you don't remember? I'm like, no. Of course, she said that online, but it sounded just like that. You don't remember? No. Now, there was a time when I was in the Army that I may have indulged in some illegal substances. However, I don't really think I was doing much of that at this point, but I absolutely don't remember any of that block. And when I think about my memories, most of them are visual. I mean, I can picture things. And my dad left before I was even born, so he wasn't around for most of the picture. But I do remember when I was super young, I must have been, 3, 4. I remember one of those silver Christmas trees, the little short ones made of aluminum, and pretty gaudy. Still don't love it to this day, but I remember those being around my mom's apartment. I remember the TV up on the shelf and watching cartoons, Flintstones, black and white, absolutely. Now, I guarantee I was knee-high to a sprout at this point, so I was really young. And I think this apartment was before we lived in Williamsville. Now, Williamsville, I've got a lot of visual memories. I remember the stairs that I tried to, when I was a kid, I tried to run away from a babysitter. I went down the stairs, and she dragged me back up the stairs, and my foot caught on a nail that was sticking out of the stairs, cut my foot, bled. But I had the scar for a really long time. Last time I looked, I didn't see it. But that's one memory. I kind of remember our yard. One of my favorite memories is in front of our house. And I remember we lived on Main Street in Williamsville, New York, in a big gray apartment. We lived in a big gray 2-story house. We rented the upstairs. And I remember the lawn was raised up over the sidewalk in front of the house along the road. My mom and I used to sit on that ledge and just spend time. And I remember that. That's, you know what, I don't care if it's accurate or not. I'll hold on to that memory. I remember looking through the bars of my crib out into the apartment. I remember being fascinated by my mom's albums. My mom had Barbra Streisand's second album, which I still own. Not that copy, that would be awesome, but I do still have the album. I remember Harry Belafonte live at Carnegie Hall. She had that album too. Matilda, da 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 da, Matilda, Matilda, she take me money and run to Jamaica. Oh yeah, I remember all that stuff. I remember my mom leaving me with the people downstairs to babysit me while she went to work, and I remember just crying. Yeah, it's funny the stuff you remember. You know, I've told you some of the stories from my childhood that I remember. You know, the bike and the gravel. That was a memory brought with pain. That one will probably stick around for a while. But it's like, what could I have been? 4, 5? I think I was in kindergarten and first grade in Williamsville. I remember we could walk to school. That wasn't very far, but I could walk there as a child. What I don't remember was kids being abused or abducted or kidnapped or anything like that. Now, I don't know if it's because it didn't happen as much back then or I just wasn't exposed to it. You know, maybe some of our fond memories when we were kids were because, well, we just weren't exposed to stuff. With this trip coming up to Cleveland, there's a lot of stuff I remember from Ohio. I lived in New Philadelphia for a little while, very little while. I actually joined the Army from New Philly, which took me up into Cleveland. WMMS, which at the time was WMMS, Rock 101. Home of the Thundering Buzzard. I still remember it. Awesome radio station. And you know, it goes through changes. And I was thinking about it and I thought, I'm going to write a blog entry. I don't write enough. So this is a good opportunity. I'll link to that below. Check it out. There's a lot of history there I didn't know. But as I'm going on this trip to Cleveland, I started looking at one of my stops is in Dover, Ohio. I got to get gas and I want to stop at the Harley dealership. And it's really kind of on the edge of New Philadelphia. And as I said in the previous video, there's a McDonald's I want to stop at there, which has a story of its own. I seem to remember working at an Arby's, but the person I was talking to that, you know, remembered this whole long trip, she didn't mention Arby's. She did mention Hardee's, which I remember that too. Hardee's was a good time. I had a super big crush on the manager, kind of like Sigourney Weaver's sister. Not exactly the same, but some family resemblance. Now, the inaccuracy of our memories is also a problem. I've been going through my family history, and because I haven't seen them since I was very young, there's a lot I don't know. And I'm trying to find some of that out. Some of it I'll never know. But I see things like family names and street names and stuff like that, and I can almost remember my grandmother talking about them. Unfortunately, I don't know, because I just don't trust them enough to say, yeah, that's the truth. Of course, time goes by, and you look at things through different eyes. When I was in New Philadelphia, I wasn't driving yet, so if you ask me what road I was on, I have a street level view of it. Then you look at Google Maps, and of course everything's changed in 30 years, 40 years. I remember things like, there was a fuel oil delivery company down the road from us, and their trucks ran on gasoline. And we were dirt poor. I mean, we really couldn't eat. It was me and a buddy of mine and another guy that lived in a trailer for a short time. None of us had real jobs. So we would go siphon gas out of these trucks. Well, it was across the street. We didn't want to be caught in the lot. So we would start the gas siphoning into a container of some sort, usually like a pickle barrel, and then run back across the street and wait while it finished. Well, I remember one time we were siphoning gas and it was like the Truman Show. Just a bunch of traffic kept coming, and we're across the street at night hiding in the bushes, and by the time we got over there, there was just gas all over the ground. Luckily, we weren't smoking. You know, of course, I was the angel of the bunch. I told them all, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. Of course, now in the age of cameras and media, oh, we so would have been caught. Absolutely. And I'd like to apologize to all of those people, wherever you may be. We were idiots, and desperate idiots too. But if that was the only thing I had to apologize for in my life, I'd be doing pretty good. But yeah, I remember all that stuff. I remember where I was the night John Lennon got shot and killed. I was in Ohio. sitting in the car, which probably didn't have any gas in it, listening to the radio. Remember stuff like that. Yeah, sometimes your memories can be dead on. I looked for the apartment in Williamsville, and I know we were on Main Street. No, not turning. I'm going to go to hit them, and then nothing. I went back on Google Maps and looked for the apartment on Main Street. I didn't really expect it to still be there, but I kind of expected to recognize something. No, nothing at all. I still have a lot of memories of South Carolina from when I lived here before. That was quite some time ago. It's funny though. You can't go back in time. One thing I've learned over the years, you just can't rewind the clock. But there are some of my earliest memories. I wish I had more of them because they're kind of all I have to cling to now. One of the disadvantages to not having a family is that there's nobody to remind you of that stuff. Hey, remember that time? No, I don't. They say eyewitness testimony is one of the worst forms of testimony in a crime event because memories are flawed. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that because I'm here. Thank you again for joining me. Appreciate you being here. And I'm going to go get me some stuffed hash brown. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.